Thank you. Ready? I'll call the City Council meeting to order. Monday, March 21st, 2005. Right at 7:05 p.m. This evening we have the invocation by Pastor Oscar Barrage from the Life Point Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by the Police Explorers and Councilwoman Amanda Garner. Would you all please stand?
I get too much to do right now. Two blondes.
Mayor Warren, if it please Your Honor, I would stand in for Pastor Barrick.
Thank you, sir.
I'm the former senior pastor of Life Point Church and now one of the associates there. My son being the senior pastor, Travis Johnson.
Pleasure to have you.
I've always enjoyed being here to pray for the council chambers meeting opening, and thank you for allowing me to do it again on Oscar's behalf. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for the chance we have to come and exercise a basic right of citizenship in this greatest land on God's green earth, the United States of America. We ask that you bless and that you let your presence be in this place, that you grant common sense, sometimes an uncommon commodity, to each of us. We thank you for our elected officials and for the vital role they play and the amount of sacrifice that they put into this often thankless job. And we thank you, Lord, for our police officers and all of our city employees, and we ask your blessing upon them as they do your work of serving the people of this fair city. Bless us as we labor together to make our city a better place. And may we work and may we labor so together that when the generations come behind us, we will leave a legacy that they will say, "Come, let us see what our fathers and mothers have left for us." And these things I pray in the beautiful name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. Patty. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me, Mayor. Mrs. Bell? Here. Ms. Garner? Here. Mr. Hodge? Absent. Mr. Losner? Absent. Mr. Porter? Absent. Mrs. Waldman? Here. Mayor Warren?
Here. I think it's Mr. Porter's wife's birthday today, so he won't be with us this evening. Mr. Laws is out of town, and Mr. Hodge is running late this evening. Any additions, deletions, or deferrals?
Yes, Mayor. I'll wait till the consent agenda comes and we'll pull it off the consent agenda, but it's 5 D as in Delta, and E as in Echo to be deferred till the April 4th council meeting. Those are the unity of items.
D and E?
D and E on the consent agenda, 5, D, Delta, E.
Okay. Is the approval of the oh, we're not there yet? Okay. Nothing else, Mr. Manager?
That's it, sir.
Thank you.
I'll move the consent agenda, Mayor.
We're not there yet.
Oh, we're not there yet? Special presentation.
Is after special presentation?
Oh, your choice.
Special presentation, Vice Mayor Bill, I don't see School Board Member Gree yet. We'll come back to her, okay? Presentation of the Mayor's Youth Council Membership Certificate to Nina Martin. Councilman Garner.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, our mentors came together and went through the applications and picked some new members for the Youth Council. Tonight, we're going to appoint Kirsten Stuver and Nina Martin. I know Kirsten's here. Is Nina here? Come on up, Kirsten. Kirsten is an 11th grader at Southgate High School. She's a member of the Mock Trial Team and Honor Society, and she wants to serve on the Mayor's Youth Council because she feels young people are not properly represented in the community. So she's going to help us make a difference. Thank you, Kirsten. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank everyone for this great honor, and I'm really going to enjoy representing the youth of this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is the presentation of the Office of the Month Award to Officer Manuel Roll. Chief, is he here?
I don't think he was able to make it tonight.
Okay.
Councilman Porter wanted to be here, so
Okay.
I didn't know that was deferred, but it is.
Okay. Item 4D is the presentation of a plaque to Ellie Snyderman for contributions to Art South. Councilwoman Wallman.
I don't believe in goodbyes, so I'm going to read this because Ellie has done so many things, so many wonderful things for our community that I just didn't want to leave anything out. Ellie has been an artist and an activist in the Miami area for nearly 30 years, refining her technique as a clay artist and turning vacant properties into flourishing arts centers. Ellie's mission is to help artists help themselves. And that's one of the first things she said to me when she first came here. Ellie first made her appearance in the art scene in the late 70s with the Grove House in Coconut Grove. From there, she founded the South Florida Art Center on Lincoln Road in Miami Beach, where she stayed on as executive director for 10 years. Am I getting this right?
You sure are.
Okay. I know she hates people bragging about her and talking about her, so I'm making her suffer here. In the mid-90s, she opened Miami Artworks in Coral Gables. In June of 2000, Ellie partnered with Stanley Levine and developed Art South. As founder and director, Ellie worked tirelessly to create and to provide an affordable living, working, teaching, learning, exhibiting, selling environment for selected visual artists on Chrome Avenue. Ellie has also worked with the community to help revitalize the downtown district and preserve the area's rich cultural heritage. Currently, Art South has 42 juried artists and houses an incubator for 6 nonprofit organizations. In June of 2005, Ellie will officially step down from her post as founder and director of Art South. She will stay on with the title of founding director and will still be a part of Art South, however. Her day-to-day involvement will be missed, but we know she leaves Art South in very capable hands. since she has closely, and I'm sure handpicked, those that will be taking her place for quite some time. Ellie has done so much for this city, and we are so happy to have the opportunity to honor her and recognize her for all of her achievements. And I can tell you, this woman came to Homestead, and you literally turned that center around. It was our old church, Baptist church. Many of us went there I went there as a little girl to Sunday school, and it sat there empty for ever so long, and 8 years, and Ellie came to town, and before you knew it, we had the cultural center, we had the arts cultural center of South Bay, and she's just made it magnificent. You've done so much for all of us. I'd like to present you with a little something. Hopefully it's... Patty, do you have my...
Oh my.
We had this special made. We wanted it to be different because we always give the wooden plaques, so I wanted this to be really different. In appreciation to Ellie Snyderman for your contributions and untiring dedication to promoting the awareness of arts in Homestead, Mayor and Council, City of Homestead, March 21st, 2005. So Ellie, this is for you. A little...
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Well, that was pretty wonderful response. Thank you so much. I feel very proud that Homestead has been a place that has been receptive to art, artists, and culture. And I'm very proud of Art South, its board members, its artists, and hopefully it will grow with the growth of your city. And thank you so much. Thank you.
And if you look around the room, this is all, Ellie just shows up everywhere. I mean, all these beautiful paintings, this was Ellie's idea a year or so ago, and she's been changing them out every couple of months, and the artists have sold paintings from people just being in the audience and seeing what beautiful work they do. So as the camera pans around and you have an opportunity to see the paintings, remember they're for sale at Art South. I'm her biggest cheerleader. Thank you, Ellie. We'll never be able to repay you. And you're not ever going to leave us completely.
The next item is the presentation of the Safety Award recipient for the month of January, Denise Santana and Michael Hayes. Councilwoman Woolman.
I don't believe that they're present tonight. No? So I'd like to go ahead, we've kind of accumulated these, and call up for February and for March. It's Brian Coleman, Drew Steen, Rebecca Gibby, and Andrew... I know, I can never say that. Preziosi. Thank you. See, they know me. Okay. With this, it's, again, I always say this is when I'm Vanna White. You know, I'm giving away all the little goodies. You're going to be receiving a day off with pay. You're going to be receiving a certificate. You're going to be receiving a pen. And I don't have my notes tonight, so I hope that I haven't forgotten anything else. But there might be another little goodie in here. You just never know. But thank you. They're picked randomly every single month with a safety record of 6 months or more. So I thank you very, very much. Let me see. Brian, it's yours. Will you see Drew?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
we're going to cut right back into the Youth Council. Nina Martin just got here. Nina, if you come on up. She's an 11th grader at Homestead High School. She's a member of the Fiat and also a member of the soccer team and softball team. And she's going to make a difference in the community. And she's going to grow as a person. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you very much.
This is really exciting. I've never been a part of something like this before, and I'm excited to put it on my college resume, and it'll look great. And I just moved here, so I'm not familiar with the area, so I'm going to have a lot of fun contributing to my community and helping out and just making everything fun and a great place to live. So thank you very much. It's nice to meet everybody. This is so exciting.
Thank you, Councilwoman Garner.
Thank you.
And let me again just echo how proud I am of you and what you and Mr. Hodge is doing with the Mayor's Youth Council. Outstanding job.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
We're going to move back to item 4A on the special presentation. We are so fortunate to have our good friend, school board member, former Mayor Pinecrest, Ms. Evelyn Greer, to come forth. Vice Mayor Bell, update on the South End area schools.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to also welcome Evelyn Greer, and I've invited her to come to our council tonight and give us an update on what's been happening with the schools. As you know, she represents our area on the school board. Evelyn, take it away.
Thank you very much. It is really a pleasure to be here. There was a lot of talk during the campaigns about making sure that Homestead was well represented all the way downtown at the school board, and honoring those promises and those conversations. I have tried to be here on an absolutely regular, consistent basis, looking out for the exploding growth that we're having here in the south end of town. This evening, I would like to make a brief presentation to council on the 5-year capital plan. One of the exciting things that has occurred when the new superintendent, Dr. Rudy Crew, came into town was that he seized control of the out-of-control construction of schools program. He brought down a new, very experienced head of facilities, and he has begun to build new schools and classrooms at a very rapid rate. The first thing that the new administration did was prepare this document, and I would encourage anyone who is interested to consult the school website, www.dadeschools.net. This is the 5-year capital plan. What this document does is two things. First, it lists, assesses, and prices every single physical facility owned by the district, from a primary learning center all the way through the regional offices and adult education. What is the physical condition of those facilities? What improvements do those facilities need? And how much is that improvement going to cost? So for the first time in one comprehensive place, the district now has an idea of what it owns and what condition those facilities are, and what it needs to do to bring those facilities up to reasonably good condition. A number of those facilities, when you price out what they need to be demolished. And foremost among those is South Dade Senior High School. For those of you who have been long suffering and waiting for Homestead Senior High School to be built, South Dade Senior High School to be built, South Dade Senior High School is going to come out of the ground this October, a brand new state-of-the-art high school on the southwest corner, so that it does not affect or impact the agricultural fields or the athletic fields. It will be a 3,600 student facility that should provide sufficient capacity for the needs of that greater area in the future. The second thing that this plan does, it identifies every single new school that the district needs to build in order to meet the growth that's coming in the next 5 years. So for the first time, we're actually anticipating where the growth is going to come based on zoning applications and growth patterns and land sales and et cetera. And we are placing and locating school facilities in the path of development so that when development that's already approved comes online, our school will come online with it. And a tremendous number of the schools are located obviously in the South Dade District because that's where the huge growth is coming. So just so everybody knows, I want to make sure that the word goes out. For example, there will be a new elementary school to relieve Chapman, Naranja, and Redland. There is a new K through 8 on the east side of Homestead, and I'm going to ask Mr. Latner to come up in a little bit to update you on the status of the Homestead Educational Facility Benefits District, which is moving along, not in usual school board pace. We're going to have a new K through 8 to relieve Leisure City, Pesco, and Chapman Elementary. We have a new K through 8 at Palm Glade to relieve Pine Villa, Redland, and Redland Middle. We have a new senior high school plan to relieve Homestead Senior and Southridge, and that's going to be on the east side of US 1 to pick up that enormous growth that you're experiencing on the east side. In addition, every facility, every school in South Dade that is currently overcrowded is experiencing the construction of a new modular. A modular, if you've seen them at the schools, is a freestanding, hurricane code permanent building, not a portable and not a temporary, but a permanent building that houses 11 classrooms and a boys and girls bathroom. That facility is not being built to expand the capacity of existing schools. That facility is being built to spread out the children who are at that school so that we can achieve smaller class size. This year's plan, before the new superintendent came in, was to build 5,000 new classrooms, new seats in classrooms this year. By September 2006, I am really excited to say we will have finished construction of 18,000 new seats scattered all through the district, but very, very heavily in our area of town. I have brought with me a blow-up map so that if anybody is interested in seeing where the schools are located, where the new ones are going, I've got it here, and I'm also leaving for the council as a permanent resource a map of South Dade with all of the facilities, where they're located and where they're going. We're pretty excited downtown. I have sent out of my office, as has the superintendent, a detailed list of all of the improvements at every single one of these schools so that the principals and the PTAs can take a look at that list and feed back information to the superintendent. We need this, we don't need this, you missed that, so that we really get a from the ground up look at what's going on in every single school. But this new administration, new school board, new teachers union leadership, new just about everybody is really determined to deal with this class overcrowding and with the lack of availability of schools in a very direct and specific way. That's essentially my report on the capital plan. I would like to obviously come back on a regular basis and update you on other things that are happening in the district. It's a very exciting time in the district. We have a fabulous summer school plan that will be available to all children. It's not one of these babysitting kind of summer camps for just children who have not passed the FCAT. It's a full-blown, exciting, dynamic, let's get ahead, not stay in place kind of summer program. It's very interesting that the new superintendent was able to find the money in the existing budget for programs that everybody prior to his arrival said we couldn't pay for, the money wasn't there, et cetera, et cetera. It's just very interesting when somebody who really wants to get something done comes in and debunks all of these myths that we have been operating under. In addition, we have high school reform, middle school reform, pre-K, so there are a lot of things going on. I hope that everybody knows where to reach me. I have a website on the school board page. I always respond personally to my email, so if you have specific issues, you are welcome to contact me about them.
but I'm very excited to be downtown and very hopeful that we've hit bottom and we're now zooming up. So thank you very much, and I want Mr. Latner to say a little bit about the progress of the schools that you have very proactively designed for your east side. You are now the model. Homestead is the model for creatively approaching hotspots of overcrowding in the entire county, and we're looking at duplicating the model that you created here in other, rapidly growing parts of the county, such as the Northeast Corridor and downtown. So congratulations to all of you, but we all still want to be there at the groundbreaking, don't we?
Evelyn, before you turn it over, I met one of your assistants at the, I think it was at the workshop in Bal Harbor, the joint elected officials workshop. Met her there, and I met her somewhere else too, and it was very nice to meet her, and I hope to see her around when you can't be available. Also, there's a meeting March the 30th at South Dade High School. Are you going to be present at that or have your representative there?
Either I'll be there or someone else will be there. So I've tried to be, as many of the meetings at the school as I can, but thank you very much for reminding me.
Yeah, it was a personal invitation from Rudy Crew.
Thanks.
That there's a special meeting.
Okay. I have structured my staff so that I have an aide dedicated only to going to PTA meetings, ESAC meetings, and being my liaison to the school. I have with me tonight, Bev, stand up, Bev Gerald, a friend and my aide whose responsibility is to liaison with community-based organizations, cities, and religious institutions. We have 66 schools, we have 125 community-based organizations, and over 100 religious institutions in my district alone, so it's quite a task to stay in touch with everyone. But anybody who wants to receive updates or news, please just send me an email and I'll put you on the email list, and we'll try to get as much information out as possible. I am trying to write a monthly column just to update people about, issues that come up that they might not have caught in the regular papers. Always open to suggestions as to what those columns should be about if you have questions that you want me to address on a wider basis. But it's great to work with everybody on this council. It's been a pleasure that we have a very good working relationship, and I think you know that you have somebody downtown who's really speaking strongly for the Deep South Dade.
Evelyn, we have a resolution this evening on the cost differential.
Great.
Going to the legislature. Would you comment a little of that and let the community know what that is all about?
Thank you. Absolutely. Traditionally, the state has allocated funding per student funding on the basis that not everybody through the entire state of Florida gets the same amount of money for their students, because there's a practical recognition that it is more expensive to run a school system in Monroe County, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach than it is to run a school system in the Panhandle or in a rural area, etc. And for years, Dade County has had what's called the district cost differential, which is a 5% extra in its formula that takes into account the fact that our cost of living is higher. Last year, the President of the Senate decided that he wanted to substitute a new district cost differential for the one that had traditionally occurred, and he got a study from the University of Florida, and you're just going to love this. He got a study from the University of Florida that said, sure, absolutely, it's much more expensive to live in Dade County and Broward County and Palm Beach, but people want to live there because they love the sun and the sand and the beach. And so we're going to factor that in as part of their cost and reduce their cost of living because people want to live near the beach. I am not making this up. One would think I would, but they accepted that study. It was obviously an engineered political deal, and he unilaterally substituted a district cost differential that reduced the cost of living in Dade County because of our beaches and our sunshine, and thereby last year we lost $13 million. If we continue that, we will lose $39 million this year and over $100 million next year. So we have obviously been furious with our delegation and pressing them to try to form a coalition to oppose this. They, I think, were caught unawares last year. They're working hard to do it, but frankly, I don't have a lot of confidence that they will do it. Our previous allies, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, have formed an alliance with the more rural counties, and our corner of the state only accounts for 34% of the votes in the state legislature, and we're hard-pressed to get over 51% in order to reverse that. That will have a very dramatic impact. The resolutions from cities and political bodies is extremely important, and I applaud you and appreciate the fact that you're trying to help the district in doing this, and please send it immediately to the legislature tomorrow morning, because we're in the throes of that right now as we speak. There are many other fights going on in the state legislature. Almost all of them are focused on reducing the funding flowing to the more urban parts of the state. From one end to the other, looking at our millage rate, looking at taking our millage and sharing it statewide, looking at all kinds of proposals, the net result of which really is to reduce our funding at a time when we are desperately trying to increase our funding so that we can increase the quality of education. The single most exciting thing going on, because I do want to leave on a high note, because I feel that things are so much better than they have been in such a long time. I really have a tremendous sense of optimism, is the following. This superintendent is dedicated to increasing the standards of what children learn in the school from pre-K all the way through high school. He is not satisfied with the level of standards today. He thinks students need to be pressed to do better, to learn at a better rate, to be more challenged, and he is perfectly prepared to deal with those who say these children can't learn, or these children are too poor, or these children don't speak English. He believes that if children are challenged positively and their expectations of what they can do are increased, that children will rise to the occasion, and that our children simply have not been challenged sufficiently so they can show their stuff. And that's a very exciting approach, particularly in a district that has had a dismal rate of graduating students who are competent to go on to college and to the world. So lots of exciting things. I'm happy to come back at a future time and update you again. Please, Linda, anytime you want, I'm happy to come down. And if there are particular issues that arise in the course where you think it's worthwhile to address your residents, just let me know, and I'll be here. Thank you.
Yes, Evan, before you leave the podium, I just want to say to you, as a parent of a grown child now, I worked very actively with the school system for years and years and years, and I even started a PTA years ago. When my son's 30 now, I think he was in second grade, and that's a hard job to do. But I can tell you that never before have I ever seen representation such as you and Rudy Crew. I mean, it's been such wonderful. It's a compliment to you. Can't say too much, but it's just a wonderful compliment to this community that you're here. I support you completely. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. And folks, you just don't know how lucky we are to have somebody that actually comes to the meetings, who's out there. And I had the opportunity to hear you speak at the chamber as well. But thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Coming from you, that's a high compliment, and I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very gracious of you.
Michael Ladner. I'm a general partner at M&H Homestead. Good evening, council members, mayor, citizens of Homestead. It's nice to be here on a subject that isn't controversial. I don't think I've ever been up here when there's had the opportunity. But I'm happy to report to you tonight that the Educational Facilities Benefit District is alive and well. The agreement's been approved between the city, the Dade County, and the school board is approved. We're well on our way to building our first elementary school, K through 8 school, on a site up on North Canal Road and Farm Life Road, and with South Canal Road on the south side. We've had some delays, but we still plan to open the school in the August of '06. The Dade County held us up 6 months approving the interlocal agreement, and And then when Rudy Crew took over, there were some changes in the policies there, and we've accommodated them in building a bigger school as they requested. So we've expanded the site up there to accommodate 2 schools. So we have now they've asked us to also expand the open space area for parks, or for recreational area between the 2 schools. So we have a 34-acre site that will be probably the nicest campus for K through 8 children in Dade County. They even expanded the size of the first building by adding 27,000 square feet of extras, and they weren't even student station seats, and they gave us instead of $27 million, they're now giving us about $30 million to build this school. So hopefully we're on our way, and I'm happy to tell you this, and we have 2 more schools, or 3 more schools coming down the pike, and hopefully this will increase the standard of education in Homestead, and I'm very happy to be a part of this. So that's it. Any questions?
Just want to make one statement. Since we had this opportunity to go back out to residents, I just want to feed back out into the rumor mill that these schools are going to be public schools. The boundaries of these schools are controlled by the school board. They will be open to residents on both the east and west side of Homestead. We're committed to a diverse learning environment, and we're just going to try to make them first-rate Dade County public schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, Ms. Greer and Mr. Latner, thank you also very much for your leadership with the EFBD, and certainly I want to re-echo the Vice Mayor and her steadfastness in seeing this EFBD through. And we're well on our way. We're well on our way, and I appreciate all of the support, Evelyn, Mr. Latner, and Vice Mayor Bell. Thank you very much. The next presentation is Presentation H, Presentation of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. Mr. John Pryor from the Government Finance Officers Association is present this evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. City Manager. I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association to present the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Homestead. This recognition program has been in existence almost 60 years to encourage local governments to prepare financial reports of the highest quality for both their citizens and other interested parties. It's gained widespread recognition as the premier indicator of excellence in governmental accounting and financial reporting. In order to earn the certificate, the city had to conform to the program's demanding criteria and submit their comprehensive annual financial report to the program for an in-depth evaluation by 2 other local government finance officers and the GFOA staff. And only those reports that are unanimously judged as meeting the criteria of the program are awarded the Certificate of Excellence in financial reporting. I'm happy to say this is not the first time the City of Homestead has received this award. It's actually the 2nd year in a row. And that reflects the professionalism and dedication of your staff, of Ms. Perez and her staff, and several of them I think are in the audience tonight, and a lot of hard work on their part. And it also reflects a high degree of dedication and leadership on the part of you, the elected officials of the city. And therefore, it's my privilege on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association to present to the City of Homestead this Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Pryor. I want to extend my appreciation to Lena Perez, the manager's office, and all of the staff members in the Department of Finance for the City of Homestead. We are so proud of each and every one of you. You make us proud. And Elena, I am especially proud of you for your hard work in representing the city and making sure that every dollar that comes in is accounted for. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. And this is really your award.
I just wanted to say a few brief words. Every time something goes wrong, people tend to point fingers. But when things go right, I think that's the time that it's very appropriate to point fingers. And the first finger that I would want to point is to the mayor and council, because they really have trusted us. And I know where this city came from before financially. They must have had a lot of doubts. And I think that the finance department is doing a lot to earn their trust, but they really have trusted us. And I also want to say the city manager allows us to do our job, and that's very important, because without that we would be in a situation where we would feel micromanaged and not really able to do what we have to do on a daily basis. I also want to recognize our finance department. I would like them to stand, because they really put in a lot of hours, a lot of work. The financial work is very, very stressful. I'd like them to come up, and they always work very hard but very happy. And one of the nicest things about putting in 10, 12, sometimes 14-hour days with this staff is that we eat together, we laugh together, we work together. And I especially want to recognize this gentleman here. Come here, Chuck. Don't go anywhere. This is the controller for the City of Homestead, and he's also the assistant finance director. And he really is the backbone of the finance department. I have to tell you, he is what we call the technical guru. And accounting can be very technical, and he will sit there hour upon hour. He will decipher programs, he will decipher technical bulletins, GASB, FASBs, and all other acronyms that you have no idea what they mean and are very technical. And he does this with a lot of dedication, and he's also the only man in a department of 9 women. So I really want to thank him publicly tonight, because he puts in a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and he puts up with a lot. Thank you.
Staff, want to take a picture with you?
Chuck, I think you deserve an award.
May I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda with the deferral of the item 5D and E?
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Wallman, second by Councilwoman Garner.
She was ready a long time ago.
Question?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Just one question. Mr. Stotts, you were going to get us some information on the gain or loss of acreage of industrial and commercial? Just for the record, so we have that.
Yes, ma'am. After doing some research, we determined that in the industrial property, we are in fact going to lose 150,000 square feet, in the Southwest Master Plan. However, in the commercial and downtown mixed-use categories, we're gaining 1,900,000 square feet. So there is a net gain of potential job-producing properties as part of the implementation of the Southwest Master Plan. And we were guessing at a number last week that I'd like to give you the real number on. There will be a net gain of 1,657 single-family and multi-family housing units upon completion of the plan. And of course, that is a best guess because much of that will depend upon how much of the downtown mixed-use property has one or two floors of housing above the retail area. The more levels of floors there are, the more housing there will be, of course. So we think that this 1657 is a conservative estimate. It could end up being more than that.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Stouts. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you for getting those numbers so quickly. Also, I think we need the plan. We discussed this earlier. We definitely need the plan, but we are going to work on some of the items that we discussed as far as the height of the buildings. And you know, I am concerned because when we talk about the net gain is a different type of industrial than we're losing, correct?
Yes,
because we're losing a heavier commercial for downtown mixed-use type, you know, as far as the downtown commercial.
That is very true. Depending upon the types of businesses that go into that commercial area, though, they could be greater job-producing businesses than some of the industrial that we may, in fact, lose.
That was my next question, as far as jobs, net jobs. I mean, that can only be purely speculative at this point, but that has to be our concern as well. So I know that as we approve and go forward with the Southwest Master Plan, that we are going to keep the net jobs in mind as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And aesthetics.
And the aesthetics.
Okay.
And one of the things that you had brought up last week in dealing with the heights of structures, I've spent some time on the phone with our planners this week, and to address that, our proposal is going to be, instead of someone being able to go up to 5 floors in certain areas as a right, allow no more than 4 floors, but a 5th that would have to be brought to the council for its consideration and approval, so that there'll be no 5 floors without the council having the ultimate say-so on it.
And then the extra floors are for the extra floor, let's say, as in the 4th floor, would be as an incentive for the larger
apartments. Again, as an example, if you took a existing 2-story apartment that's got 500 square foot apartments in it, and there's a number of them out there like that, and you're trying to work with that owner to demolish that and build something that's new, they can't end up with half of the apartments that they have now and ever come out financially. So you have to be able to deal with the density. Our apartment minimum size is now over 1,000 square feet. So if somebody's got to build each apartment twice as big, you have to be prepared to give somewhere, and that's probably in giving in the height, so that they can end up building approximately the same number of apartment units that they have now, because most of them will be twice as big as what they have now.
But remember that, and we discussed this, but if they're twice as big, they can probably get twice as much. So there really is not a net loss, and I think we need to think about that. And also, I really think that it's not what it used to be as far as incentives. I think that this is a place that developers want to come. I don't think we're going to have to incentivize nearly as much as you think we're going to have to incentivize. And I think rather than making that an automatic assumption that we're going to have to put on an extra floor, I think we should leave it out and then see what they bring to the table, rather than automatically giving it to them. And I think that we will be happier with our end product in the long run if we go in with that kind of thinking. Because I really do think that we can produce a nice product and not have to go up 5 floors or 4 floors. I think we need to be real careful and hold the line on that, because how it looks when it's first built is one thing, and how it looks in 10 years is totally a different story. So I just want to keep us mindful of that. Thank you for your work on this.
Anything else? All in favor say aye. Have we voted on it already?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's good. Public hearing, ordinance land use items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the quasi-judicial portion of the agenda, item 6A1 through item 6A4. Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be the cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the counsel to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the city clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, the council members are reminded to disclose any ex-parte communications concerning any items on the quasi-judicial portion of the agenda. At this time, we will ask the Deputy City Clerk to swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of these quasi-judicial items, 6A, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Please stand and raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Our first item is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a waiver of plat to Antonio Duque for the division of property totaling 16,470 square feet into two lots, each equaling 8,235 square feet, located at 300 Northwest 5th Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion for approval?
I'll move it.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Any initial questions from council? Vice Mayor Bell?
Thank you. Mr. LaPrade, would you explain this as well as you did to me this afternoon when I called you on this?
Yes, Mr. Duque received these lots, or actually the lot, from the city as an infill housing project, with the understanding that it would be separated and he could build two single-family homes. It is a large parcel. It'll be split into two 8,000 square foot lots to facilitate the single-family homes to be sold to individuals that meet the requirements. Our minimum lot size in the city right now, as per code in this area, is 7,500 square feet, so these lots will be larger than that size.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? This is a public hearing.
I might also add that they're within the CRA and that he is going to build them according to the standards being adopted in the Southwest Master Plan with the higher pitched roof, the tin roof, the Key West look, front and back porches.
Standards.
Yes, sir.
Good. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call.
I was just going to say, it's a good plan. It's a good plan.
Good. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Garner? Yes. Mr. Hodge is absent. Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Next, we have a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a waiver of plat to Gennaro and Ada Rodriguez for a portion of Lot 18, totaling 6 single-family dwelling units on 2.89 acres within the Miami Land and Development Committee Company subdivision, located south of Canal C-103, east of Southwest 162nd Avenue, Farm Life Road, north of State Road number 821, Florida Turnpike, and west of the theoretical Southwest 158th Avenue is legally provided, described in Exhibit 8, and providing for an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner. Is there a second?
I'll second this.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Question, Vice Mayor?
I'm just going to comment that this is a very low-density project, and this is it's going to be a nice, small housing area.
That's correct.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, this is a public hearing. I'll open it up for the public. Any comments from the audience? Any comments? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Next, a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Pod P, Christie's Homes, 88 single-family units on approximately 15.55 acres of land in the Waterstone Planned Unit Development Phase 2, located south of Southwest 288th Street, Biscayne Drive, north of 312th Street, Campbell Drive, west of Southwest 137th Avenue, Tallahassee Road, and east of the Florida Turnpike as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it, Mayor, with a question.
Moved by Councilman Wallman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Ms. Wallman?
Yes, I just want to make sure that the comments and observations have been studied by the city, and those things they've conformed to all those things. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
What was the vote of the Planning and Zoning Board on this? I don't see it.
The final plats do not go to Planning and Zoning Board.
Do they?
No, sir. They go to council. The tentative plat goes to Planning and Zoning Board. And the final plats go through staff.
Staff recommends it?
Yes, sir. Staff recommends it.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I have a question. In looking at this, it looks like it's about 5.6 homes per acre. Is this overall, I mean, as far as the entire PUD, is this an overall density, or is this where it's condensed and it's just stated as 5.6 overall, and really when you look at it, it's 12 or 13? Because that really bothers me, by the way. I think we need to clean that up.
This pod is 5.69 units to the acre.
Overall.
Yes.
And as far as when you look at it, it's not, all the housing's not packed in separately than the actual, the PUD.
No, this is an individual pod, and in that pod is a 5.69.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? I'll open up the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
A resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Pod K, Portofino Oaks, 92 single-family units on approximately 21.17 acres of land in the Waterstone Planned Unit Development Phase 2, located south of Southwest 304th Street, northeast 15th Street, Kings Highway, north of 312th Street, Campbell Drive, west of Southwest 137th Avenue, Tallahassee Road, and east of the Florida Turnpike as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner, second by Councilwoman Wallman. Any initial question from council? Vice Mayor?
Same question, Charles.
4.34.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I just make a comment that this is for plat approval. All this will be coming back before this council before anything is ever...
No.
This is final.
This is final.
Yeah, the site plans have already been approved. This is the approval of the legal representation of the site plan that this board approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You were thinking tentative plat. This is the final one.
Tentative.
Yes.
This is final.
I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? This is what, a 4.34 homes per acre?
Yes, sir.
Any comments from the audience? I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, legislative matters. First item is a final reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending fiscal year 2004-2005 city budget as adopted pursuant to Ordinance 2004-0937 to provide for the appropriation of a portion of the fund balance to be allocated to the police department within the general fund to fund an enhancement in police department services, providing for appropriations for expenditures and providing for effective date.
So moved, Mayor. Get him out
Moved
there.
by Ms. Garner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallman. Any question? This is in response to the additional 9 officers and support personnel. So we are amending the fiscal year budget to accommodate that request. I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Who's going to turn down 9 new police officers? Any comments from the audience? If no comments, any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, item B2, set final reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Ordinance 980518, which created the elected officials' retirement system, as amended by Ordinance 2000-0206, by amending Section 2 definitions to define the term final average compensation, by creating a new Section 3.2 disability benefit, by creating a new Section 3.3 death benefit, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for effective date.
Is there a motion for second and final reading?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner, second by Vice Mayor Bell. Any question by council? If not, I'll open up for public input. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, item B3, final reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the elected officials' retirement system established pursuant to Ordinance 2000-0206 and codified at Article 4 of Chapter 22.5, Retirement Plans of the City Code, renaming the plan the new elected officials and senior management retirement system, amending Section 22.5202 of the City Code definitions, amending Section 22.5203 of the City Code benefits to provide death and disability benefits, creating a new Section 22.5206 retirement fund of the City Code, creating a new Section 22.5207 Administrative Committee of the City Code, creating a new Section 22.5208 Powers of the Administrative Committee of the City Code, creating a new Section 22.5209 Retirement System, not a contract of employment of the City Code, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion for second and final reading?
I'll move it.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Any comments from council?
Mayor.
Yes.
Kurt, why don't you just give us a brief explanation of these changes for those that are listening?
Basically, this takes the senior management, which consists of the manager, the 2 assistant managers, and places them with the elected officials in a separate retirement plan named elected officials and senior management. Currently, the senior management are in the general employees pension plan. This is the same pension plan which we negotiate for you every contract period every 2 years. Again, this could present, legally it isn't, but it could present an appearance of conflict of interest because we're negotiating our own benefits as senior managers. And the 2 assistant city managers and myself are pretty much involved in those negotiations. So we felt, and the mayor, talked with the mayor, felt that maybe we should remove ourselves from there. The city's getting large enough now that we create this separate, combined, you had to have 3 ordinances to get there, but you had to combine, we combined ourselves into a elected officials and senior management retirement fund.
Thank you.
And as the manager said, as we talked about it, although legally it's okay, there's a perception there that, who would not sit at the table and not want to improve their retirement benefits. So we felt that by moving it into this category to avoid that potential conflict. So I think we're doing the right thing for the taxpayers and certainly doing it to relieve the manager and his staff of just that perception as over their head reference negotiating their own benefits. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Any other comments? I'll open up for the public input. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Garner? Yes. Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 6B4, final reading of an ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the General Employees Retirement Plan by amending Chapter 22 at Section 22.5101, definitions of the City Code, to change the definition of executive team member by amending Chapter 22 at Section 22.5102 of the City Code, plan membership, to permit members of the executive team to discontinue membership in the General Employees Retirement Plan, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing an effective date.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. And what this does is officially move them out of the general employees pension plan and put them in the senior management elected official pension plan. No comments from council. Any comments from the audience? I'll open up for public input. Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, item 7A, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Miami-Dade County, Florida, expressing support for the creation of the Keys Cove No. 2 Community Development District by the Miami-Dade County Commission for the lands described in Exhibit A and providing an effective date.
Is there a motion for approval? Moved by Councilwoman Warman with the question. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Question, Ms. Warman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I really had a hard time with this map today, and, I don't know if I'm the only one that had a hard time with it, but because the boundaries are kind of invisible right now, aren't they, Charles?
That is correct, yes.
The boundaries are invisible, so
Yes.
it's very hard for me to see where this, I'm trying to do landmarks behind Keys Gate condo, right, Center Gate, but behind Center Gate.
North of that,
North of, right, when I say behind, just as a landmark. but
north of that, east of the Shores development, those single-family homes that have been built on the
East of that.
east of the villages, and southwest of the sales center. There's no roadways in there to give.
know, and
There's some existing lakes, and it's the development that came before you. I believe it was
Right.
a couple of weeks
I
ago.
know.
Yes.
And
yeah.
that, and what was that vote that we took? Was that?
I wasn't in the meeting. I don't.
Do we
It was
recall
site plan approval. I know that.
a site plan?
It was brought the last meeting, and the council approved it.
But it was the site plan?
For the actual plan of the units themselves,
Right,
yes,
the
ma'am.
site plan.
Not the CDD.
Right, and this is on the CDD, but I just wanted to say that I found the map a little confusing. Also, I realize that we don't always have to have staff recommendation, but that's the first thing I go for, So I would appreciate it if in the future we could put, even on the final plat or whatever, because we have so many projects that come before us on a weekly basis that, we forget that it's plat number so-and-so, or, and we've had every girl name known to man, before us. So, I just would, I value the staff's opinion, and and how do you feel about this, Mr. Pratt?
On this one, we haven't really weighed in on the CDDs from my department and from our area. That is, a CDD is administered by the county, and it has to go through county's approval.
Because I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I just want to make sure, just like I said at the last meeting when we were talking about Waterstone and people not feeling that they were completely informed when they purchased. I just want to make sure that there's a certain size print, if there is a CDD pass, that the font is big enough that everybody knows what they're signing, what they're getting. I don't want anybody to come back to this city and say that we passed something trying to hide or cover up a cost, because this is a cost. There will be a cost that will be put onto the new buyer of each one of those properties. And I just want to make very, very clear, go on the record, that if it is passed tonight, that the buyer is aware, totally disclosed, big print, everything. Because it's not fair for the city to take the burden of the developers when they're passing along these costs.
And those are
ordinance, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
There's a county ordinance now to deal with the font.
Yes.
Councilman Wallman.
Yes.
Very specific.
That is
I
correct.
can't remember the size of it, but the vice mayor and I was at a meeting, and they made sure that...
They're thinking what I'm thinking. I mean, I just want to make sure.
So right to the point where there's a font size required on these CDDs.
Yeah. What I will say is, in this resolution, your staff and the attorneys have made sure that we're covered with regard to the fact that there'll be no costs imposed on the city with regard to water and sewer infrastructure and those type of items. We don't address the disclosure that is addressed under state law and under the county's jurisdiction.
And perhaps I should, if I still have the floor, Mayor, perhaps I should direct my next question to Michael or Julio regarding Public Works. With the CDD, it probably is better in the long run for our city for them to maintain those roads, correct?
It's definitely better for us when they are maintained by CDD, because CDD is practically working like a government, so it stays there, it's not going to be dissolved. And I just want to clarify something about CDDs versus normal financing. The property owner will practically, if things are done right, will pay exactly the same amount, when the infrastructure is bought, they're going to assess it against lots, so that when the buyer comes, whether there's CDD or not, they're going to pay for their share of the infrastructure. However, when the CDD is established, they have the opportunity or the mechanism to finance it over 30 years or pay it upfront after they do the closing. So as far as the city is concerned, whether they pay for it upfront or not, it's the responsibility of the developer and eventually, of course, the homeowner who comes to buy it.
Thank you. You answered my next question. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Wallman. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. It seems like the CDDs are the new cost of doing business when you have a raw development going where there isn't water infrastructure and electric infrastructure. And it seems like it's the cost of doing business, and it kind of relieves the burden from the developer as well as from the city for infrastructure purposes. And it just definitely seems to be the way to go. It's a county ordinance. But I agree with Ms. Waldman that we must be very, very careful that disclosure is made in every step, in every stage. And that's my concern. Every single stage, when they walk in your door, that there should be disclosure. And I have a specific question. Are you going to allow an early payout? In other words, if the CDD over the life of the 30 years is $30,000, are you going to allow an initial lower payment for the purchaser to pay up front?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jen Helms, 47 North Chrome Avenue. I have here with me tonight Hal Anderson, James DeCook, Seraphin Meow, and an attorney, Felix Lasseret. I'll allow them to address your question and your question.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Concerning your question about an early payout, as was actually alluded to by your Public Works Department, there's several opportunities to pay out on this infrastructure cost, and that is really the beauty of the financing through a CDD. Even though the intent of the CDD is to issue long-term, low-interest government funding through the issuance of bonds, which will pay for the infrastructure, the buyer who will be placed against their property has an opportunity at the time that those bonds are issued to either pay it out or to roll it into their mortgage or to pay it out at any time during the year. If they want to go 5 years and then decide to pay the rest of their balance, they have the opportunity to do that, or to finance it over the 30 years. Quite frankly, it's normally of benefit to finance it over the long run because of the interest on it, and also you're then placing the cost onto a future homeowner, considering the average home lifespan of ownership is about 7 years.
I think you misunderstood my question. Usually when you have an upfront payout, it's at a greatly reduced amount for the benefit of getting it upfront as opposed to over the 30 years. There are some CDDs that are now proposing that if there's a greatly reduced amount for paying it upfront. Do you have any mechanism of that? That's what my specific question was.
That would really have to be determined at the time of bond issuance. I couldn't answer that right now.
So then you don't, then you really don't have that as a mechanism at this point?
Not for a massively reduced amount, Hal, unless you've got...
I didn't say massive, I just said
Just one point of clarification. Hal Anderson, we serve as district counsel in some of these districts. If you were to take the stream of payments over time, they would have issuance costs for the bonds and interest costs. And actually, prepayment is very similar with a house. Maybe you borrow $100,000 and over a 30-year mortgage, you end up paying $200,000 when all the monthly payments are added up. Prepayment here has the same benefit in that you would never pay that full amount of, let's say in my example, $200,000. Instead, you would strictly pay the principal and all those financing costs would disappear. So the incentive for early payment, unlike someone who pays month to month, is you pay less if you compared the two sums because you will never bear the costs of the financing.
Okay, then so...
It's not an incentive beyond that, though.
Okay, that's my specific answer. There's not an incentive beyond that, so there is no actual reduction in overall cost.
And that's where district manager was correct, that could be set into the bond deal, but the statutory scheme allows us prepayment, whereas people who decide to live with the assessments bear all the costs of financing and the cost of issuance. Someone up front who chooses not to do that is forgiven that, despite the fact that contractually the bonds are already issued even.
Right. I understood that. I was just wondering if there was a discount, an upfront discount.
And to be fair, the logic why the discount structure doesn't come to the fore that commonly beyond avoiding the interest costs is that as a special purpose, local government, that money was spent to buy infrastructure. So if we got $3 million in water and sewer, and we expended $3 million in funds, the homeowners have to be looked to who are benefiting to cover that $3 million. And the problem would be if there were any less, if there were some discount or some less recovery, then the district wouldn't even be able to cover the $3 million in my example. And where it still works out to be a very favorable arrangement is part of being conservative in these deals is that we typically acquire the infrastructure for less than its full value. If you actually looked at the proceeds we expended, 90% of the time, the developer is being asked to absorb some of the market value cost, the actual cost. So in that sense, everyone who buys land is getting the best possible deal on this infrastructure. But to get back to your question, they don't get any extra deal by paying early because the district really has written a check up front for a certain amount that has to be covered to put the roads in, put the water in, put the sewer in.
Well, I want to make it clear, I'm not opposed to CDDs. I think they're a very good idea as they take a lot of burden off of the cities, place it squarely back on the shoulders of the developers who do what they do and pass it back on to the homeowners. I really am equally concerned because we have felt the wrath of many homeowners who felt like they weren't given proper disclosure. That's not your fault, but that has set a precedent here that we want to be very, very careful about. And so as they enter your door as they enter the door of the sales center, I hope there's a sign about the size of that City of Homestead sign that says CDD, or this is a special taxing district, and that's my concern.
Yes, and let me tell you exactly where the status of the county is on this, because what was experienced in Homestead was experienced elsewhere, and there is now a special agreement that the developer has to sign before the county will entertain a petition or enact an ordinance. That has 3 types of disclosure in it under its current draft. There will be a sign on the wall right in the sales office. There will be prescribed text in capital on the first page of the purchase agreement. And then there will be an additional notice where it's contemplated the purchaser will sign as part of the back of that purchase contract. So there'll be 3 different places. And if the developer fails to either give the notice or misestimates the assessments by more than 5%, this document, this restrictive covenant that will be recorded, binds the developer, in the case of no notice, to pay off all the assessment for that landowner who didn't get the proper notice, or in the case of a misestimate, by more than 5% to pay the differential at the option of that land purchaser. So there's really both notice up front and real penalties now for the developer to make sure that these assessments are disclosed and adhered to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wallman,
Yes.
and then Mrs. Shahada.
I just wanted to clarify, because I don't know if you're familiar with Waterstone and their documents, but if my math serves me right, I don't believe that there's any discount there as well. It's just a matter of what interest rate at the time of the bond issuance and the fluctuation in the time value of money, and even though people stand before us and say, well, instead of paying $30,000, I could have paid $9,000, and I'm just rounding these numbers off. But if you take that stream, the timeline of money, and you calculate that out, that's where they get those figures. So I don't know if your new docs are going to have that clarification in there, but I just think it's very important, and I don't expect everybody to be able to, pick up a financial calculator and be able to, run those figures. I just happen to be in that business, but it's very important for people to understand in third grade language, second grade language, what it is they're signing. And this has been a real problem, when they think, that they had the opportunity to buy it. And I understand the gentleman in the dark coat, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name, but I understand what you're saying, that the average homeowner is only there 5 to 7 years. And in the long run, if they only pay yearly for 5 to 7 years, depending on what their goals are, as to how long they want to stay in the house, it's cheaper for them to pass along the expense, and then it's my understanding that new homeowner would have the opportunity to buy out at that time as well. So I just piggybacking on what Linda said, because it's very important what we're saying here, folks. It's very important that you understand that it's not that you're getting a discount, but it's just a matter of paying it outright or not. And if you're in the house 2 years and you want to buy it out at that time, then you have that right to do that. But you still have that interest that was incurred on the 2 years that you were paying yearly or monthly, or however you want to do it. I don't mean to be interpreting for you, but I just think it's very important that people understand it.
No, that's exactly accurate. I think for the record, James D. Cook from Special District Service. That's okay. I don't think I introduced myself.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Shahada.
Mayor, council members, Ms. Waldman covered a part of what I was going to talk about, but I just want to make it also clear, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. The CDD payments consist of principal and interest and a maintenance portion. So when somebody pays the outstanding loan, whether it's over 30 years or upfront, they will still have the maintenance portion. It's like a homeowners association.
That's absolutely correct, James DeCook, for the record. The issue of the maintenance is, once again, a CDD is a special purpose form of local government. So as opposed to, say, the city having to maintain surface water, storm water, as we all know, it's very important, that's actually put onto the CDDs and the homeowners themselves to pay for. So it's almost a portion of, it's a non-ad valorem tax, but it's saving the city from having to raise that portion of tax to pay for that particular infrastructure. Obviously, there's a long-term maintenance cost and eventually a replacement cost of said infrastructure.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, item 7B, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, urging the Miami-Dade County Legislative Delegation to persuade the Florida Legislature to utilize the 2004-2005 district cost differential until such time that a new and equitable calculation may be devised, directing the city clerk to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the Miami-Dade County Legislative Delegation and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Garner. And I think School Board Member Evelyn Greer explained this very well in terms of the potential impact to Miami-Dade, Broward, and Monroe County, and Palm Beach with this district cost differential.
should go for a drink.
Any comments from the audience? This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? This is a resolution from the City of Homestead in support of Miami-Dade schools and a reevaluation of that district cost differential. No comments from the audience. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, item 7C, resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting a grant award and authorizing execution of grant agreement for grant number EN 04210501 from the Office of Economic Adjustment on behalf of the Department of Defense for the Homestead Air Reserve Base Joint Land Use Study, establishing budget in the amount of $75,000 for the grant and providing an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner, second by Councilwoman Roman. Any comments from council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, item 7D is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, urging the legislature to vote against House Bill 1521 and Senate Bill 2060, in that this legislation would amend Part 3, Chapter 163 Florida statutes with the effect of severely reducing the ability of community redevelopment agencies to accomplish their statutory redevelopment tasks and providing for an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner, the second by the Vice Mayor. Any comments?
Question.
Vice Mayor?
Rick, would you explain that to us, please?
Senator Bennett in the Senate and Representative Sorensen in the House have introduced companion bills that would be very detrimental to every CRA in the state. This legislation tilts the negotiating power to the counties in all negotiations between the cities and the county in relation to adopting new CRAs or modifying CRA plans. It allows the county to reopen negotiations based upon, in relation to their TIF can't even talk tonight. Allows the county to reopen their negotiations with the city in relation to TIF contributions if one of three things happens: if the CRA becomes 20 years old, if the property assessments less any allowance for debt service double, or if there's a county referendum to freeze the current contribution of the county to the CRAs. So the county would be in a position to freeze or negotiate a lower TIF contribution at certain stages of the life of the CRA. Further, the county can withhold permission for modifications of the CR plan, which in a charter county they have to go through the charter county, unless the city is willing to reopen the interlocal agreement so that the county and the city would have to renegotiate the county's contribution to the tax increment fund. Also, in non-charter counties, it would force the cities to seek permission from the county to form a CRA or to establish tax increment financing or to present to them their community redevelopment plan, even though that's currently not required in non-charter counties, only in charter counties. So it would give non-charter counties the same power over CRAs that charter counties have without those counties having to adopt a charter. This is very detrimental to CRAs. It's being opposed by the Florida Redevelopment Association, by the Florida League of Cities. They've hired an extra lobbyist to lobby against this with the state legislature. The mayor either has or is soon to sign some letters to our Dade delegation opposing this. I spoke to Mayor Wallace today on the phone, and he is also dispatching letters to our delegation opposing this and asking our state delegation to oppose this.
Thank you, Mr. Stouts. Any further comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Business from the city manager?
Just a few things, Mayor. Again, a reminder to everyone that the Citizens Academy will begin on April 6th. It'll be an 8-week program. It'll be held at City Hall here from 6:30 to 8:30. Usually Wednesday nights. normally is the night we pick. Again, it's designed to acquaint residences with how government works, or local governments, like Local Government 101. We've had 2 of these already. We've had some pretty good comments from the students, participants, I should say, in that class. So we're inviting anyone who's interested. It's on our website, but you can call Lillian Delgado at 305-224-4415 for more information, or to sign up for the class. Again, the deadline for filing our taxes are fast approaching, so 2 announcements in regards to that. We have all types of the forms available for people who are interested in picking up their income tax forms. We have them located outside the city clerk's office here at City Hall. I also want to remind folks whose income total income does not exceed $36,000 that Homestead Family YMCA is the location where there's free income tax assistance. It's running through April 9th, so time is running out. Saturdays only, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at our Homestead YMCA. Again, the criteria is your total income can be no more than $36,000. It's running through the April 9th, Saturdays only, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, this is an important announcement. Effective April 30th, the replays of the City Council meetings, which are normally viewed on Adelphia Cable's Channel 37, will be shown now on Channel 97. Channel 97 will be available to all Adelphia Cable subscribers in the City of Homestead as part of their basic offering. The time and days when the meetings are normally shown will be Tuesday at 7 p.m. will be the replay, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. That will not change from its current schedule. 3 more items and then I'll be through, Mayor. 500, just let people know that in our area, 530 acres, which is south of 344 Street, between 152 and 132, is known as our mitigation area. We have had and have been notified by South Florida Water Management District that we have four-wheeling activity out there that has destroyed some of what we're trying to produce out there as a pristine area, and we are charged with repairing that. We're also charged with monitoring it, so I want to make a public announcement that we're going to be doing enforcement out there for four-wheeling out in our 530-acre area. So we also are putting up signs, no trespassing signs, doing a number of things with the police for enforcement, which is part of a report that we're sending back by the end of the month to South Florida Water Management. But I do want to let the residents know that there will be enforcement out there. This is costing the city extra money to go back and refix what we've kind of been nurturing to bring back to a pristine condition. Also, along the same lines, illegal dumping. Notice that we've become very serious about enforcing illegal dumping. We're doing special operations on that. We have cameras out as well in certain areas. If you're caught illegal dumping, you will be arrested. If you're caught at a felony amount of illegal dumping, you will be arrested and your car will be impounded and forfeited, or your vehicle. So that's how serious these things are coming. It costs the city a lot of money each year because of, I believe, because of the system we have of picking up weekly and trash and avoiding paying somewhere else or not being able to get it picked up timely, that it's dumped in the city knowing that we'll have to pick it up. Right. And it's costing us a lot of extra money, not only tipping fees but man hours. So we are really doing a strict enforcement in that area, kind of zero tolerance there, and we've already made a couple of arrests in that area. Vehicles were impounded and people went to jail. On a sad note, as you know, may or may not know, that on Friday we had the Police Explorer graduation, but one of the explorers that were scheduled to be at the graduation had a car accident en route. Oscar Cadera, the latest, and we want to keep him in our prayers, that's why I mentioned that, but he's in intensive care at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Currently he's in stable condition, but he had a head injury in which the swelling, and he had to go under operation. He's still in a comatose state and he's on a ventilator. But Keep him in our thoughts and prayers. There, that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Business for Mayor and Council, Councilwoman Wallman.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I have quite a few things I want to talk about tonight, things that I've been putting off talking about, but I think the time is now. I'm just sorry that we don't have a full council here, but I'm still going to go on. I've been meeting with staff on a regular basis regarding the baseball stadium. I've even met with the Director of Parks and Recs with Day County, given them a tour of the building. The stadium has some very serious problems. If nothing goes wrong, on a good month, it's costing us approximately $300,000 a month. A year, I'm sorry. A year. $300,000, heart attack. $300,000 a year to maintain. And but that adds up. It's been adding up since 1992, so it's been adding up and adding up. And that's on a good year, $300,000. So I would like, the last estimate that we had for a forensic structural engineer to come in, they wanted $120,000 to go into that building and tell us what's wrong with it, if it's structurally sound. And quite frankly, I just don't think we can afford that at this time, but I do want to make sure that the building is at least sound. And Marlene and I were talking today about maybe getting some estimates of some local engineers or local contractors, seeing what we can find out, letting them go out there that are licensed and can give us a full report, because we do have the 4th of July event coming up, and quite frankly, some of the people that have seen the stadium, they question whether we should be having any events at all right now until we get it checked out. So we want to make sure time is near to the 4th of July event, so we want to make sure that we have that. I've also been trying to determine a value for the land, because there was so much discussion the last time we talked about this as to what the value is for the land, the actual land itself. And I think it was Mr. Porter that wanted information on whether or not the property could be divided. It's my understanding that it can be divided. We just have to decide where we want to divide it at. And of course we have that large ACUS area. And Charles, do you know right offhand how many acres are under the ACUS?
Not right offhand. I believe it's a little over half.
A little over half the property is under the ACUS. Now, under the ACUS means that we could have an industrial park, correct, Susan?
Certain uses.
Yeah, we could have it. If it came to that, we could have that. Or I don't believe that it would be conducive to housing of any kind. But we still need to have a value. We need to know what we're dealing with, because I get daily questions on the street, well, what's that property worth? We had people at the microphone saying it was worth $50 million. Well, it's not unless there's a use for that to be a $50 million property. But we can use it as a park, we can do all these things, but first we have to start and we have to know what we have and what we're dealing with here. We also still have the question of the 530 acres as far as whether or not we could unmitigate 100 of those acres and make that a beautiful regional park. And we have a lot of questions here, and it's time that we start finding out the answers. As you all know, the 37 acres with Humpty Dumpty, that's in the process. That's on go. We should be breaking ground this year, hopefully, and it will all. Marlene, do we have a finish date on Humpty Dumpty, an estimate as a finish?
Councilwoman Wallman, no, we don't have a finish date, but we anticipate that construction should begin this year.
Okay, and that's 37 acres on Palm Drive. We're also, Mayor and Council, we're searching frantically for land west of Chrome Avenue for a large park for our citizens on the west side, and the possibility of the annexation that will be taking place. Right now we're looking at approximately 27, 28 acres. I think the price is a little high. We still have some negotiations to do there, but we've been very active trying to find placement for these parks, because we don't want to run out of land. We want to make sure the land is there, but yet we still need to know the value of this property. So at this time, Mayor, it would be my suggestion and that we allow the city manager to go ahead and enter into some contracts with some local engineers or contractors and find out if the stadium is sound. Is it a sound structure? I'm not really talking about the dormitories at this time, I'm talking about the stadium.
Yes. Just want to mention, being there's only 4 council members present and we're on the report section of the agenda, no actual council action could be taken because under our procedural rules that requires 5 persons. However, the city manager does have expanded purchasing authority under the recently amended purchasing ordinance, so the manager could do what he can do already independently, whatever he feels needs to be done.
I think we should do it, and it's the manager's discretion, but certainly it's not going to cost anywhere near $10,000 to have a report done.
You want to bring it back up when you have 5 or more council members?
Well, I think the manager could take action now. It's under his discretion.
You know, it's up to the manager's discretion. If each of you here tonight want to do, let the manager know that you're each fine with that, that's fine, but you wouldn't be taking action. You're not required to take action, but if you want to just to, in other words, if anyone has a problem with the manager proceeding in that direction, now would be the time to speak up.
Vice Mayor?
I would like to kind of speak up and ask a few questions at the same time. When we, and I'll direct this to Councilwoman Waldman, when we entered into the whole Parks Master Plan, which was a really extensive plan, and I think it cost the city, what, about $100,000?
No, it wasn't. Was it 70 or?
It was a little over $90,000.
Was it over 90 at the end?
And, one of the things, and this is what kept coming back to me when we were entertaining the sale of this, is that, and I know you've heard me over and over on this, that this is just too big of an asset that belongs to the people, the city of Homestead, to even entertain getting rid of. And I really thought that as the need was presented for a large parcel of land on the east side of the city, with that being a large parcel of land on the east side of the city for a park, that would be the perfect place to begin phase 1 of the Parks Master Plan. And I know that Parks money tends to breed Parks money, the grant monies, and the fact that we already spent this master plan, that could be leveraged against a grant to begin something. And I really think that we need to begin looking seriously, not at expending a lot of monies on the structure, but at looking into what we can do with the actual land out there for the people in the city of Homestead. I think it's just a gem and a diamond, that property out there, and that it's time to start doing something on that property, whether it's, bike paths and skate paths, a little dog park, some, soccer fields, and on and on. And I know it's utilized extensively, the land, by our sports facilities, and I'd like to see us to begin, since you brought it up, I'm glad you did, that we can actually start looking into actually doing something with this particular land, not so much as the building. And I think the building is probably structurally sound. I don't know that I would put anybody in to live.
For sure.
But I would be very cautious, and I'm not saying that the city manager shouldn't look into it, but I would be cautious about expending a large amount of money. That's where I would be cautious, Judy, because we need to be very limited in our resources on what we do out there, because it may be that the building may not stay, but the land always will. So I just want to be cautious about how we expend our funds on that.
How will we ever know whether or not that building should stay or not unless we find out if it is structurally sound? I'm worried for the people that are in that building when we have events, and it's very important. We've had people from Dade County, experts from Dade County, go through there, tour that building. I don't see Kurt Herron here, but they were with them, and they recommended over and over that we have that building checked out. That's all I'm saying. We have to start somewhere. Whether we keep the building is one thing, whether we implode the building is another thing. I think it would be very difficult to implode the building because it was all of Dade County taxpayers' dollars that built that building. It wasn't just the city of Homestead, it was all of Dade County taxpayers' dollars. But we still have to find out. And I think we could do it for a reasonable amount of money. I'm not saying do the forensic structural report. I mean, that's ridiculous, $120,000. But if we can spend a couple of $1,000 and at least get a good roofer out there and get some people out there that can really look at that structure, then it would make me feel better to know that when we have an event, for example, last year's 4th of July when it rained and there was water standing everywhere in every quarter, in every hallway, carpets soaking wet, people slipping and sliding and falling, that's not a good place to have something. You need to at least if we're going to keep it, we need to make it sound, at least waterproof. So that's my question. It's just, my answer to that question, it's just that we need to start somewhere. We just keep putting it under the rug. We need to start somewhere.
And I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm saying is that if we say, A, we definitely want to keep this building, definitely we want to do that, then yes, absolutely we need to evaluate. If we say, well, according to the Parks Master Plan, this is the best design for that property and it doesn't include the building, and I'm not saying implode it and I'm not saying keep it. I'm saying let's take a look at the Parks Master Plan, see what the recommendation for that large park on the east side of the highway was, what was the proper use for the acreage, and they needed a piece of a parcel that size, and if it doesn't include the building, then why expend the money to put into the building? That's my only, what I'm saying is if we're going to keep the building, then yes, we do need to look and make sure it is structurally sound. If we're not going to keep the building, then let's not expend the funds on that. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't pour good money after that.
It's like putting a cart, what goes first, the cart or the horse? And I understand what you're saying. Right. But at the same time, as chairperson of Parks and Recs, it's my responsibility to bring this forth to you tonight because it's sitting there. It's been known as our pink elephant for years and years and years. Nothing's ever changed. It's just been there like that. We also, as chairman of Parks and Recs, it's very important for me to bring out that we have a very valuable commercial corner there as well. I believe, what is it, Charles, 6 acres, which is a commercial corner on that property?
There's a little over 5 acres on that corner, yes, absolutely.
And so, see, these things, that's why I'm trying to determine a value. There's no reason why we can't have a beautiful regional park, but still, sell off or maybe a corner or a parcel where we could make money to build that park. People keep forgetting we want these lovely things, but we have to find the money to do it as well. So, as a business person, I'm just trying to think of how we can at least start somewhere. Anybody can go in and draw up a pretty picture and make suggestions, but then it's up to all of us to figure out how we're going to do it. And right now, my major concern is the structure for the 4th of July event, because we have some great things planned for you folks. We really have some great entertainment coming down. I won't tell them, it's a surprise, but we want to make sure it's nice. But I'm telling you what I saw last year with all the flooding and the holes and it's a wonder if somebody didn't fall and break their back, okay? And that would be a terrible thing.
You raised an issue of...
I'm preaching like Norman now.
Raised is a potential liability. I think, Mr. Manager, need to proceed and...
We'll come up with a plan and see what we can meet everybody's desire there.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to see something started, and I want to see it started now, and I want us once and for all to know that we have this. If we think it's a valuable piece of land, then we need to know that it's a valuable piece of land. And I'll move on, Mayor. The city clerk position, we received over 60 applications. We have Marcy and Marlene and Vivian, they're shortlisting it now. I should have interviews with probably 3 to 4 people. I'm going to hold those interviews on Thursday, Mayor, and I will bring back recommendations as to whether or not, probably shortlist it to 2 and give council a chance to meet with those people. The qualifications are just absolutely amazing, and we received those 60 applications within a week, I believe. Yes, Marcy, within a week of our advertising that position. So we've had clerks from other cities. We have attorneys that have applied. We really have a good list of applicants, and we're working diligently on that. I met, by telephone, We met with Katie Sorensen Friday. I wasn't able to be there in person, but Katie is working on obtaining the rest of the money that we need for the initial report that we're going to be doing for the Park to Park. If you remember, the city pledged $10,000, and Katie said not to worry, she'll raise the $15,000. So that means that that's going to be on its way, and we'll be in the process of writing our grants for that, and I'm very excited about that as well. I will be meeting on Monday at the Senior Citizens Center, and this is going to be with the BEA to discuss and receive input regarding the expansion. We're going to be talking to the seniors. We're going to be talking about how we're going to design the new Senior Citizen Center architecturally, and the needs and wants of what they really can not live without or really need to have. So we'll be doing that, excuse me, on Monday. As I said, we're looking into land acquisition in the west area, and that's very important because if we don't do it, we're not going to get it. I wanted to also say that the Easter celebration Saturday at Harrisfield was just great. I was there for about 45 minutes, and the kids were just adorable. I understand a lot more kids came later in the afternoon. The animal show started at 2, and it was just a very nice event. They gave me my little picture of the Easter Bunny today, so I want to thank Parks and Recs, and I want to thank all the fine citizens at Homestead for participating in our city events. It means a lot to us to see all the hard work that's been done, and then to see you out there. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And the last thing, Mayor, that I wanted to say is that my little angels had their annual, it's the second time, their annual casino night, now we can call it annual, and we had about 500 people attend, and I believe we're still getting money in, but I think we've netted about $40,000. So we'll be giving out a lot of money this year to children with special needs, and we're happy to do that. So I thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Woolman.
Oh, can I just say one more thing? I want to thank everybody who supported me in the attending of the Women in Company Award that I received last week. It was probably the greatest honor that I've ever had bestowed on me, and there was just a huge amount of people from Homestead there, so I really want to thank all of you. I was so humbled, I really was. Thank you.
And cried all evening.
I do that.
Vice Mayor Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to try to start from the beginning. I have a long report today, so just bear with me. I'm make up for Mr. Losner not being here. Norman probably doesn't have anything to say. So one of the things I mentioned earlier that Kurt Ivey and Charles DePrett and I attended the joint workshop between the school board and the cities and with elected officials on what's happening with the school system, and that was a very good workshop. It was so far as usual. The little city of Homestead always has to travel very, very far, and this time we had to go all the way to Bal Harbor in the morning, and so we fixed that by volunteering to host the next one in 6 months right here in the city of Homestead, and we said, we're going to fix you, and we offered our services for the next one, and they took us up on it. So we will not have to travel an hour and a half in 6 months, so we're all happy about that. I took a tour of Southern Command with the Military Affairs Committee in Doral, and it was a very, very nice tour, and it's an exceptional facility, and it's surprising how much they have in such a small facility and what they get accomplished in this small facility. Also, we attended the opening of Homestead baseball season, and there was, I think there must have been 500 or 600 kids out there, plus their families. And I just want to tell you that the mayor and Councilman Losner and I got to throw the first pitch. And let me tell you that the mayor did all right. I'll tell you, he threw a good pitch, and they gave me the girly ball, so I had to throw the underhanded, and I was not happy about that. But the mayor did very, very, very well. Also, last month, there was a fabulous event sponsored by Centro Campesino for Black History Month, and we got to hear one of the original Tuskegee Airmen speak, and this was such a fabulous presentation, and he was so good that I thought that there should be 1,000 people there to hear him and his experiences and what he had to go through just to be able to fly a plane in the military because he was a black man. it was just a fabulous, fabulous thing, and how far we've come, and I thought that was really fascinating, and I enjoyed that immensely. Also, I attended the BRAC Leaders Forum in Coral Gables, along with Mr. Ivey, Mr. LaPrade, and a bunch of people from our city, and what was interesting on the base realignment enclosure is BRAC. When I went there to the Gables and walked in the room, if you looked in this room, it was at the Biltmore, half of the room, or maybe not quite half, but a good majority, good portion of that room who are concerned with base closure was from the city of Homestead. Between the Military Affairs Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, City of Homestead staff, elected officials, it was just packed with Homestead people. That was very, very telling of the City of Homestead's concern for keeping the local Homestead Air Force Base in our backyard alive, open, and well. And we seem to be on pretty good footing and pretty good standing. And I learned some very, very interesting things in that the state of Florida is one of the most supportive states for its military installations and known nationwide. As a matter of fact, the state of Florida passed legislation to protect its military personnel while away at war or while serving their country. One of the few states that have ever actually passed legislation, so we really put our money where our mouth is. And all of that adds up, and it's very, very important for keeping a base open, and that's the one thing because of the millions of dollars. In fact, I don't have the exact statistic with me, but they gave us a booklet on it from the Miami-Dade Defense Alliance talking about the financial impact to the community that a military installation provides, and it's in the billions. It's really, really powerful. So we want to do everything we can to keep our base alive and well. Also, went to the reason I wasn't at the last council meeting, I'm sure you all know, is because we went to an annexation hearing in downtown Miami, which Charles predicted that we would not win it, and we did. We walked out of there with big smiles on our faces. And one of the things, we had the normal opposition there from the Rutland Corporation people, and they were opposing us, and I just, Charles was good, and Mitch Bierman was excellent, by the way. He was very, very good. I was extremely impressed at how well he presented Homestead's case. And it amazed me, and I stood up and I said, I'm always amazed that one group who's trying to incorporate would oppose a city who already is incorporated, oppose their ability to annex land because they want it. And they're not incorporated yet, they're not a city yet, but they want to oppose us so they can have it. And I gave an analogy to this committee that would be tantamount to somebody telling you that you can't put your house on the market because in a couple of years I just might want to buy it. And that was my analogy I gave, and I told Charles they were all men, so I had to paint a word picture for them. So it was a good outcome, and I look forward to this going before the Miami-Dade County Commission. A couple weeks ago, we had the second Saturday at Art South with Romero Brito, one of the famous, most renowned pop artists, I think, not only in the nation, but possibly in the world, becoming so. And Amanda was there, and I were there, and I have to confess, I think Amanda and I had just way too much fun painting canvases, and Romero came and painted canvases, and lots of children and artists were painting on these canvases, and they're going to actually sell them in the Lincoln Road, in Brito's Lincoln Road studio, and so it was really, really fun. And since I can't paint, I went around with all kinds of colors and painted polka dots on everybody else's stuff. So all the polka dots, that if you go look at some of the art that's going to be auctioned off, all the polka dots, especially the hot pink ones are mine. But it was very good. It was a wonderful, wonderful community event. Really, really wonderful. And to get an artist like Romero Brito right here in Homestead for our community, I don't think people understand that. If you want to take a look at a big form of his artwork, go to Dayland Station. There's a 45-foot statue that's standing in Dayland Station that was commissioned, and Romero Brito did that. He's done many work in many airports in New York, LaGuardia, the Big Apples. He was commissioned to paint his artwork on a Volvo, on a Mini Cooper, and then they would auction them off and make $80,000 on a little vehicle. So, he's very, very popular. I also wanted to give congratulations to Carlos Cotero with this new ownership of the Paradise Tree, and that was a very nice ribbon-cutting ceremony, and I wish him the best. We also participated with the mayor and Councilman Losner, the Walgreens groundbreaking. That was exciting. There's another store coming up out of the ground in our community, and just this past weekend I went to the youth fair to read to the children in the 4-H clubs, and it poured on us, but it was great. The kids had a really, really good time. And culminating that, I also attended the Spring Fun Festival, And Amanda was there also with kids, and I was there with 4 of my grandchildren. And that was probably a little braver than I should have been. But we had a great time, really, really great production. And Judy, it was marvelous. And we stayed to the end with the animal show and the kids, their lunch and everything they get to do, their pictures. And it's just a great thing for that the City of Homestead does for its community. And I stood there and talked to a woman from Kendall who had brought her daughter down from Kendall because she read it in the paper. And she said she will make sure she comes back in December because I was explaining to her about our Christmas event that's very similar. So she said she would look for that in the paper. She enjoyed it very much. And if any of you want to see 2 of the most beautiful grandchildren in the world, you can look at this when the meeting's over. Picture. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman Garner.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to request a council workshop regarding the planning and zoning code changes to get some further feedback from council. We have some different options we could go with, so I'd like to go ahead and have a meeting on Monday, the 28th at 5:30. I can't be there. You can be there. If you can't be there, if you could forward your thoughts to Mr. LaPrade, maybe he can discuss it with you beforehand. I just want to get everyone's input because there are other options. And it was recommended by council to make the changes, so I would like council to look at it further before we actually bring it forward. And last Friday night, I was very pleased to attend the Police Explorers graduation. I was honored because they asked myself and Councilman Porter to come speak. And this is a really excellent group of people. They learn police work and they do other things, but during the academy, they do over 400 hours of community service. And perfect example, that night I was there with them. We had a great time, with the exception of the news about Oscar, and I'm very sorry about Oscar, and my heart goes out to him. The next day, at the Easter event, who's there? The Police Explorers. We couldn't have done the event without them, because it was in conjunction with Parks and Rec and the Mayor's Youth Council, but the Police Explorers, we couldn't have done it without them. They're just an excellent group of kids, and I congratulate Basic Law Enforcement Class 14, who recently graduated. And most importantly, this Thursday, I hope you're all going to attend. We're going to have an education meeting over at the baseball stadium at the minor league clubhouse. It's going to be at 6:30. We're going to try to cut it off at 8 o'clock, but we have a lot of information. Vice Mayor Bell is going to be there. She's going to give you education committee updates. Representative Greer is going to come back. She's going to give the same information, more in depth, everything that's in our area. And we're going to have a representative from Keysgate Charter School and from the Charter School at Waterstone, so we can answer all the questions on how to get in, what's going where, who's doing what, just to get rid of rumors and let you guys know what's going on. So I hope you'll attend. That's this Thursday, 6:30. If you live in Center Gate, it's where we vote. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Garner. Councilman Hodge? No business? I have just a few quick items. One is Vice Mayor Bell, a letter here from the governor's office reference his mentoring initiative. And I'd like for you to take a look at the program that renamed it the Governor's Mentoring Initiative to the Florida Mentoring Partnership. As I read through it, I think if the Education Committee take a look at it, and once you do that, maybe get with the Human Relations Board, because I think it could be an initiative we could start at Homestead Senior High School. They need a lot of help.
Take it. Thank you.
I have a non-agenda item. I've been waiting to get the meeting that Ms. Garner talked about with code, but at the same time, our Planning and Zoning Board is about 3 or 4 members short and is not on the agenda, but I'd ask the council's indulgence in allowing the appointment of Mr. Ed Powell at this time, and Ms. Elizabeth Evans. Ms. Evans, everyone knows Ed Powell. Ms. Elizabeth Evans is a real estate attorney, and she is willing to serve, and the staff have asked me desperately to put 2, and I'll have, I think, 1 or 2 more appointments, which I'll make once we approve the code, but they need some additional help on that Planning and Zoning Board. I'm requesting that Mr. Powell fills Ms. Kathleen Kelly's term, and Ms. Evans fill Leanne Davis' term. If there's no objection, may I have a motion for approval?
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hodge. Any question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And Councilwoman Garner mentioned Ms. Nina Martin to the Mayor's Youth Council. I forgot the other young lady's name.
Kirsten Stuver, I'm sorry.
Kristen Stuver.
Kirsten Stuver.
And Nina Martin. I have a motion for approval to appointment to the Mayor's Youth Council. Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hodge. Any question? All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? And we also have the appointment of Vanessa Zizet to the Special Event Committee. Whose appointment is that one?
I believe that was Mr. Porter's.
Mr. Porter's appointment. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman Garner. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hodge. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? And finally, just two items. I had an opportunity to speak at Avocado Elementary School last Thursday, I think, Patty. And let me tell you, they're an A school. And I was extremely impressed with those young people. They pretty much ran the program. There were a couple that introduced me, and it was just a fabulous affair at Avocado. And I want to salute the principal and the staff at Avocado for doing an outstanding job. And certainly to the young folks there that asked me to come and speak, I was very impressed with the program. I also had an opportunity with Mr. Stouts to entertain the Miami Fellowship Initiative. Is that the name of the group, Mr. Stouts? And this is a group just selected through Miami-Dade County, participate in this fellowship. They call themselves the emerging leaders in the 21st century for Miami-Dade County attorneys and folks in different capacities throughout the county. And Rick and I talked to them about Homestead, growth and development, and other specific issues. And I was really impressed with that group, and certainly there's a lot of talent there, and I think they'll have an indelible impact on what goes on in terms of leadership here in Miami-Dade County. So I was pleased, Rick, to sit with you and share our views with them about Homestead. So thank you very much for arranging that for me. And that's all I have.
Mayor, I thought one thing. The American Business Women's Association, which I've been a member of since, I don't know, 15 years or whatever, we are having a fashion show, and we are honoring all women of the year. So if you have an organization, for example, the Junior Women's or Homestead Women's Club, if you have a woman that you've honored this year, Soroptimus, I'm just naming sororities, please, please, please let me know so that we can honor your Lady of the Year at our fashion show. And the date on that is April 16th. And it's going to be at Keysgate Golf and Country Club. I'm being honored as in the company of women, and Linda, we're going to honor you as the Athena Award winner this year as well. So I'm sure that the city will be there. I will be modeling and probably be the moderator, but I just want to put that out there because I think it's so important. We have so many deserving women and men in the community, but unfortunately we're not having a fashion show for the men this year. We're having it for the women, so if you have somebody you'd like to let me know about, we'd love to honor that person. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have business from the audience. Any comments? I think there's Mr. Don Walker that's signed up to speak at 2731 Southeast 12th Place in the Venetia Gardens area. Mr. Don Walker. Miss Don Walker, I'm sorry.
Okay. Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor. I don't know if this is the appropriate forum to address this, and I do thank you for the opportunity to have me present this. I'm a resident of Venetia Gardens, and I believe our solid waste services are provided by the city of Homestead, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been faithful in my development every Tuesday and Friday picking up trash. What I have noticed, it's just an observation, and I was thinking that perhaps presenting it to you, that this would be the most effective way, rather than going through other routes and going through a whole lot of bureaucratic red tape. I've noticed that there's like a front man that comes in his truck, and he goes into like the cubicle area where the dumpsters are located, and before the dump truck actually comes, he rolls the dumpster almost out into the middle of the driveway. And afterwards, the dump truck comes to lift up the dumpster and, empty the contents into the dump truck, the dump truck. The problem is that where my building is located, it's located around a bend, okay? And I noticed or witnessed an accident, almost, a near miss, where a car was coming around the bend. And here's this dumpster sitting in the middle of the road, and it was just, thank God it wasn't a collision, because as the car was coming around, there was another car coming the opposite direction, and they just barely missed each other because of the obstructed view. They didn't see each other. And here I am, this must have been because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was maybe about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I don't know. And I was just dumbfounded because I'm seeing what's going on, and then this near miss that happened maybe, I don't know, however many minutes later. So I just wanted to address that or just present that to you. I tried calling the Department of Solid Waste or whatever, and I got a recording, and then I just heard word of mouth, the city council was having a meeting tonight, and I figured, gee, okay, why don't I just come down and just present this to you? So I'm just presenting it to you. I just don't want to see an accident happen.
That's a good point. I'll have Mr. Brea get with the young lady here, and they can work out a coordination on that.
Thank you so much. Anybody else from the audience?
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here tonight as a homeowner, and I'm not representing any other organization, but I felt I had to speak up. In the past, I've heard that there's 18 parks west of the Turnpike, and I heard tonight that the city is also looking at placing a large park somewhere in the new southwest area. I have no objection to that. Parks are good, they're green space, but we have a large green space east of the Turnpike that I heard somebody wanting to put a price on. Remember, once you sell this green space, you can't replace it. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anything that large in the southwest area. So please, let's do our due diligence, but remember, that is the only thing that we have is green space east of the Turnpike now. Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, no one is talking about selling those acres. We're just trying to put a value on the baseball stadium and following through with Mr. Porter's request to find out if the property could be divided. And that's all that we talked about tonight.
Hello, I'm Ed Powell. I live at 2274 Southeast 27th Drive in Keysgate. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your pointing me to the Planning and Zoning Board. I looked at the agenda tonight, and I looked at it the previous meeting, and it wasn't on the agenda, so I wasn't really positive. And Charles said it was going to be added tonight, so thank you. I'd retired beginning of the month from my permanent job. I think I'm going to be busier now than when I worked 9 to 5, but that's good. So I'm looking forward to serving you, working with the city, being involved in what's going on here. I've been somewhat active in at least keeping up with what's going on in the city, so I think we can make a difference, and I appreciate that and look forward to coming to work. Real quick story. We have the opportunity of taking a lot of
goodies we collect. My wife's a Rotarian, and somehow we're the collection point for the homeless over at the Air Force Base. So about once a week, we fill up our car and we take a load of things over to the homeless shelter and donate them. And they kind of know us by name and see us coming and run out and stuff. Well, when we came back on a Sunday, we see a budget rental car, a rental truck, two kids and a guy all covered with orange paint, painting fire hydrants coming out of the homeless shelter. So we stopped and rolled down the window and said, "Are you getting paid for doing this, or is this volunteer?" And the guy says, "We are the Boy Scouts and we're volunteering our time." And so my wife and I both gave him a big hand and said, "We have to give the Boy Scouts some accolades at the City Council for the job they do, and probably nobody knows about it." And in that regard, I would love to get a can of paint and paint the wall at the corner of Kingman and Town Center, the wall that says Homestead Stadium, the pink and the white with the mold all over it. I'd be more than happy on my own time and paint that wall and make that look nice. At least when you look at the stadium, you'd see a nice sign.
Well, I'm sure we can supply that paint.
Well, Mr. Powell, and I think that was the emphasis of Ms. Waldman's statement, is that it's sitting there at a humongous cost. Now we need to do something about it. And I think a lot of repair work needs to be done, painting, fix up.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful facility. It has such a statement when you drive down that road and see it. It's gorgeous.
And I even think that a lot of the whitewashing of that, by doing some of that, we restore a lot of that. You know, I'd be happy to get a bucket of paint and a roller and the stuff that's easy to do. Let's fix it. You're talking about the infrastructure. Well, if the steel's rusted and it's going to cave in, different problem.
Right. And you know, Mr. Powell, it's so amazing that you're saying this tonight, because in communities all over the country, you know, citizens do get together and they have a project like this, and I think this would be a wonderful project if, you know, if it's something like you say, simple enough that it's just a matter of going out with a paintbrush and a little, you know, some little strong arm shouldering, you know, as far as scrubbing. But I think it's a wonderful idea. Absolutely.
Probably two previous meetings you were absent, but I had gotten up and said, we voted to keep the stadium, now let's SOS, let's save our stadium.
Yes.
And I said I would take the forefront in terms of a volunteer effort to put, and we have a lot of craftsmen in this city that are looking for things to do.
And we could have a big community weekend and put it, do anything.
We'll make the paper.
The roof fixed, I know.
We'll make the papers. We'll probably make a movie about us. We'll be written up in all the gazettes in all the world.
I like your thinking.
So, partings. We may be afraid of the things that go bump in the night, but living in Homestead is really out of sight.
Oh, I like that. That's very good.
Thank you very much. Any other public input? Any other public comments? Well, thank you all very much for coming out this evening.